些就叫东西进来吃就好了，跨境。OK， 那就叫食物机进来好了。OK， 去买几个便当。
你会自己去拿吧，不会叫他送吧？因为叫他送还会再送这样。因为他任何人要进他们，
对，自己去买好了，对，自己去买，早点去买。那这样的话，那个就那种场地要定到3点半。
没关系，我跟他讲，我先跟他讲到5点半。
因为我那个同事来，
就9月份嘛，9月份。
对，我想那个可以吗？因为这样我早上
去问看看，他如果可以就可以。
好，那不行的话就 following week 了，因为我不能太晚这样。
最好是我们的 annual meeting。
没有
你的
我是说9月10号，9月10号 training， 然后我现在比较担心是如果力量长回来的话，他可能会跟不上，他到时候可是也没办法。不过我的意思就是说，反正就9月10号或9月17号，但是最好是一定要在这里，因为到时候我们要介绍 speaker， 最好是在当场的那个环境，你懂我意思吗？在。
Hi, I miss you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Oh yeah, so it translated well. Yes. I don't know what any of that says very much.
Yeah, so it will go the way after. Johannes is about to start, so grab a seat. This is our recording area, so you might want to avoid it.
Yeah. We have coffee and
Thank you.
Cold drink.
I got a crappy one downstairs.
So, do you want to take a picture with your presentation?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
We're going to put it on the newspaper.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. Before everything.
它那个窗帘可以 lower 下来。
Here or?
他刚才 low 到吗？我们说我们要看这个 view。
Oh, okay. I'll maximize this one. Cool.
I don't want the screen to move. Actually, if you don't mind, step up a little bit. Yeah, step up.
Nice smile.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll be introducing. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today with our event. As you can see the title here, Marketing, Technology, and You. How do you go even bigger than that, right? It's basically covering everything. So, today's marketing actually is involving really dedicated technology, using the audience as your data sources to know what your audience is looking for, what we're engaged in. And so Jahan here, who's a graduate from Boston University, currently is a patent holder for 2 patents, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, 2 patents and 1 patent pending. So he invented a methodology to keep track on the audience that you're interested with, and keep track on their interesting and their topic, so which reflects to the marketer how marketer can engage with the audience more efficiently. And today we're very lucky to bring 6 years of your expertise onto the board and tell us the secret of connecting the so-called engineering and scientist side with marketing. So without further ado, please join me and welcome Mr. Jahan Rangvi.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Yeah, so I kind of want to make this a little bit more interactive. So feel free to interrupt me if you have a question or raise your hand, shout at me. I think we got to pretty nice, intimate group here, so I want to make this as informative as possible. So I want to make two promises kind of before I get into my presentation. The first is that I'm going to show you a side of marketing that you haven't seen before, and it's kind of largely ingrained in data analytics. And the second side or the second promise that I'm going to make in this presentation, to Leon's point, is that if you're an engineer, there are a lot more ways than you think that you could work with marketers. Marketers are becoming progressively more scientific and are always looking for new ideas. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that kind of synergy. So again, my name is Jahan. I'm the founder and CEO of AdHark. At the end of this presentation, I'll give you guys a little shameless plug of what we do. But I'm going to focus first on marketing. So marketing is a lot of different things. I found this really cool graphic which tried to sum up some of the keywords that I find all the time. It's customers, it's advertising, it's content, it's data-driven sometimes, or at least should be. It's social, it's search, it's email, it's mobile. All of these different concepts in marketing that integrate. Their kind of general premise is, if you have a new piece of hardware that you want to design, they'll help to, kind of prototype it and do small batch manufacturing. So maybe a couple thousand pieces, couple hundred pieces, but none of that Apple type scale. No way. But they always struggled getting leads. B2B company. And they've been in business 30 years, they have a wonderful reputation, they've always kind of operated on a referral basis. And if any of you guys are in the B2B space, that might be something that resonates with you. And they had this perception for, again, 30 years, that the only way to kind of grow a business is if you had a marketing guy. If you had somebody who was an expert in marketing that could help to break down the barriers and build a brand and do all that cool stuff that you hear in Ad Age and Ad Week, which are two marketing publications. But this is simply not the case. Marketing is something that anyone can do. And now there's a lot of software and technology and public data that helps do all of the hard work for you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So the number one role of marketing is to drive sales. No matter what anybody else tells you, it's all about sales and value creation. So every single thing that marketers do or should be doing on your teams should map to some type of sales, unless it's on kind of the market research side of things. So how do we do it? How do marketers drive sales from scratch on a low budget? Well, the first thing that you need to start with, and this is going to be kind of a very central element of my presentation, is to find the perfect audience. So here's just kind of a fun little graphic I put together of track and athletes, folks who are interested in menswear. It might be a little more preppy, unfortunately don't have those socks. Theater and arts, as well as college students. So whenever you develop a product, you want to find the perfect audience. And all of these audiences are active online on social media. We'll talk a little bit about how to tap into that. But for every product that you have, you always have to come back to the audience. It's something that marketers do day in and day out. We don't focus on features as much, we focus on the who. So who are we trying to sell this to, and how can we learn as much about them as possible? So if any of you are in engineering, you might be very familiar with the term of a user persona. Well, in marketing speak, we have buyer personas. So just like how you're building a feature set and a user experience, a UI, around a particular type of user, try and build a nice kind of workflow to some value, we have to do the same thing in marketing, because we're trying to reach particular buyers. And in a B2B space, there's kind of this concept in B2B marketing called a buying center. And what that means is that rather than selling you a chocolate bar when you come to my store, we're selling that kind of contract to multiple stakeholders. And each of those different stakeholders cares about very different things. So one of the really challenging exercises in marketing is to create a buyer persona and link your different use cases to those buyer personas. I'll get a little bit more into that. thing that we do all the time, and you can accomplish this after here, is put together a focus group, put together a survey, talk to your customers or prospective customers and ask them what they're trying to do. Where do they go to school? What do they do? A bit about me. I'm a marketer. I'm from Wisconsin. I do something in social, and that may or may not be relevant to you. But when you know what kind of hot buttons your customers have, you can more effectively build solutions to solve those problems. So the number one kind of way to forward a marketing strategy is with content. There's a saying in marketing, which I'm sure many of you have heard, and that's content is king. Well, in the analytics space, context is king. So content, what I mean by content, if you've ever heard that word before, context of marketing, it's your marketing message. So is it a webinar that you're putting on, or a case study, an academic white paper is content? Is it a Twitter profile? Is it, kind of a headline on your website? Sexy infographic, customer testimonial, or a video. There are all these different types of content that you can create as a marketer. And depending on who your buyer persona is, different types of content will resonate with them differently. So you'll find a lot of B2B companies might not do those TV ads that you see during the Super Bowl. That's not where their audience might be. And it's hard for them to justify $2 million for 60 seconds of time. Whereas, a funny Doritos commercial might be a little bit more effective at engaging a sports audience. So content is kind of the fuel in marketing. It's really everything that we can produce and disseminate. And there's a rule of thumb that one of the things that I tell everybody on my team, whenever you create a piece of content, say a case study, that takes time. You don't turn those around in 10 minutes and half an hour. They can take days. They can take weeks if you're writing a very rigorous white paper. So spend as much time promoting your content as you do producing it. I think it's a really good rule of thumb. And when you look at channels like social media, and specifically on Twitter, you can promote things day in and day out at different times of day. You can schedule them in Hootsuite or do what have you to kind of get the word out even more than just the Boston MarTech space. Frankly, in MarTech, they're killing it. And one of the things that they realized and have championed is this idea of inbound marketing. So inbound versus outbound marketing. When you're watching a TV ad, or if you're streaming Hulu, there's going to be ads that interrupt your experience. That is outbound marketing. It's disruptive. If you're at a trade show and some sales guy comes up to you, that's outbound. And what HubSpot has realized, and what a lot of small companies have realized, is that outbound marketing is really expensive, and it just leaves you, again, kind of feeling like you're trying to sell me, you're trying to sell too hard. So what HubSpot instead does is they create a ton of content, because they know that they're trying to sell marketers. They sell marketing software. They need to reach people like me. And what do marketers all have in common? They have problems and questions about how to do more effective marketing, how to optimize their website, how to create a compelling email, how to design a pretty infographic like you just saw. All of these different types of questions. And where do people go? They go to Google. They go to search. How do I create an infographic? How do I create this? So HubSpot has an incredibly powerful blog where they're constantly churning out these help guides and case studies, content that speaks to different issues of their buyer persona. Now, they're not creating content about how to set up an IT infrastructure, because that's not their user. They don't care about him or her, but they do care about marketers. That's who they're trying to reach. So the beautiful, beautiful thing about content, and when you publish something on the internet, is that it does not go away. It lives forever. And if you optimize it correctly with the right keywords, you're going to increase the discoverability of your content. So if you're creating a ways to get the most out of your Fitbit, you know, that is a very compelling post. And for the people who read that, they're now coming to you organically. You never had to reach out and call somebody, but instead you got a rock solid piece of content that offers some value to your target audience and to drive them in. So kind of the 3 stages of these types of systems are attracting new leads, nurturing new leads, as well as converting those leads into customers. So one of the things that HubSpot and other marketing companies will do really well is that depending on where you are in their journey, in your journey with them, they'll show you different types of content. So I'll give you an example. This happened to me the other day. I went on their website and I wanted to download a case study that they had developed on how to develop better visual content. You know, visual content is really compelling to marketing audiences, right? People want to create beautiful images that, you know, get you excited about their products, but I'm not a designer, so I wanted to make sure that I could give my interns a little bit of guidance. So I downloaded this case study, and to download that case study, I had to fill out my name and my email address. So now I just became a lead to HubSpot, and I had never talked to a sales guy before. And then, sure enough, the next day, or a couple days later, I got an email from them, automated, you know, that said, oh hey, we saw that you downloaded our, you know, 5 tips on infographic study. You might want to, this is some other content we have that might interest you. And what they're doing is they're nurturing me, is kind of a term, to basically turn a very cold lead into more of a warm prospect. You're going to keep feeding me different information based on what I've viewed previously. And at some point in time, over time, like I'm now talking about HubSpot, that's how powerful this is. You know, some salesperson will say, hey, do you want a demo of our solution? Can't afford it right now, but it's definitely on the radar for the future. So the power of content just can't be, you know, I can't say it enough. It's everything. And that's very qualitative. That's a qualitative exercise, creating stories and creating useful information for your customers. But a common misconception with a lot of marketers, and Patty might agree with me here, is that we're also very data-driven, and we try to be. And marketers do a lot of different things with data to optimize our campaigns and how we more effectively can deliver our messages to the market. So just to give you a couple ideas, one of the things that we'll do is we'll use data to help understand the most effective lead sources. So if you've ever, especially if you work in health tech or marketing tech, you know, a big segment of a marketing program might be going to trade shows. I'm sure everybody knows somebody who did some trade show display or participated in a trade show. I sometimes speak at trade shows, but I don't pay to speak there. So the big issue with that as a lead source for a lot of people is that it's extraordinarily expensive. It's really hard to justify flying out to San Francisco with 4 of your teammates. You're taking clients out for dinner or prospects. You've got food, airfare, hotel, and then you're just kind of in this gauntlet of an exhibit hall where there's hundreds of other people trying to sell the same few folks who brave the ballroom. And it's extraordinary. I went to dozens of these, and we might walk out with a few leads. We couldn't justify it. And that's not to say rule out trade shows. You got to look at your economics. If you go to a trade show and you invest 10 grand and you get $1 million deal out of it, keep going. But for us, that just wasn't a thing. So just kind of an interesting tip that I've discovered in the social media space is that a lot of these event organizers and these companies who their whole business is to put on trade shows and incentivize companies to come and speakers and authors, is that they'll create a hashtag and they'll promote their event with a hashtag, like HubSpot's hashtag inbound, like the big one, or inbound 2016, I forget if they attach the date or not. But if you go onto Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you can see what people are talking about at that event. It's almost like an organized feed of your prospects. So one of the things that we do is instead of going there to present and pay thousands of dollars, which we don't have, we interact with the people on social media. So we say, yeah, like really good point, so-and-so, or we'll follow them, or and if they follow us back, we can send them a message. But it's just a way to almost get exposure into those discussions and those participants without having to physically be there. You can get kind of creative about the different types of stuff you share as well, but it's worked for us. And by the way, you don't want to be the one person who's commenting on every single thing, because no, seriously, you look at the feed, you say, oh, those guys are just selling too hard, you know. So try and keep it above board. But that's my little tip on trade shows. Website A/B testing is a huge thing. Any website you go to, there's a lot of data behind the buttons you see, for example, or what we marketers call a call to action. So if you are reading a page, a good website will try and drive you to do something else after that. Like, learn more here, or sign up for our webinar. Like, it's a call to action. And what those buttons look like, the colors, the placement, it's all A/B tested, or it should be. So based upon visitor traffic and trends, like which ones are converting, marketers will fine-tune those to try and optimize their conversion rates.
What does the AB stand for? What's the meaning?
Output. Yeah. So it's kind of the idea of, I mean, even in product development, you know, you'll want to create a product or a feature set and test it, put it out there. One of the really cool things that, again, shameless plug at the end, I'll talk about is when you already know what your audience is really interested in, you can kind of skip that A/B test, or at least shorten that time period, which reduces waste and potentially lost leads. But A/B testing is very important. Tracking visitor behavior, very similar. Campaign performance, but analyzing the competition. So something that it's harder to do with web analytics, but social media analytics can teach you a tremendous amount about how your competitors are engaging with their customers. What type of content are they creating? You can actually have, and we're able to kind of find a few of our targets. So if you guys have work at a company that has a good marketing budget, ZoomInfo could be a good